In November 2025, Amazon MGM Studios made it official. A new Stargate series. Not a reboot. Not a remake. A continuation, with Brad Wright in the room. The fanbase reacted the way it always does after 15 years of cancelled films and abandoned timelines. With cautious, exhausted hope. But there is a classified file on this production. And what that file reveals is not a budget problem. It is not a casting problem. It is 5 structural problems, each one capable of ending the franchise permanently. This is the assessment. Here is what has been confirmed. Martin Gero, creator, executive producer. A showrunner who wrote for Stargate Atlantis. A man who understands the franchise from the inside. Brad Wright and Joe Malozzi, consulting producers. The architects of 3 Stargate series across 2 decades. Their presence in the room is not cosmetic. It is the single most reassuring element of this production. And then there is Nathan Crowley, production designer. His credits: Interstellar, The Dark Knight, Dunkirk, Westworld, Wicked. An Oscar-caliber craftsman brought in to define how the new Stargate looks. The production has confirmed approximately 10 episodes per season. Filming is expected to begin in London in the second half of 2026. No casting announcements have been made as of this assessment. Every element above represents a deliberate choice. And deliberate choices have deliberate consequences. Here are 5 of them. The original Stargate SG-1 ran 22 episodes per season. Stargate Atlantis ran 20. Stargate Universe ran 20. This is not an incidental detail. It is the structural condition that made Stargate Stargate. Those additional episodes created the space for window of opportunity. For 200. For Ergo. These were not filler. They were the episodes that revealed character. That built trust between the audience and the team. That made the tragedy, when it arrived, mean something. A show about gate travel and galactic consequence needs room to breathe. It needs the low-stakes mission that establishes who these people are before the high-stakes mission that tests what they are made of. 10 episodes eliminates that room entirely. The audience will meet this team. And then, almost immediately, the season will be over. The model works for prestige limited series. It has not reliably worked for franchise mythology. Star Trek, Picard Season 1 ran 10 episodes. It introduced a new crew and a galaxy-altering threat. It failed to make the audience care about either before the finale arrived. The new Stargate has the same structure. Whether it will avoid the same result is the first open question in this file. By the end of Stargate SG-1, Earth had defeated the Goa'uld. It had defeated the Replicators. It had defeated the Ori. By the end of Stargate Atlantis, the Wraith were neutralized. Earth possessed the ancient database. It possessed zero-point modules. It possessed intergalactic ships capable of crossing to Pegasus. This is the lore inheritance problem. The new series does not enter an open universe. It enters a universe where humanity has already won the galactic war. Multiple times. Every previous threat has been resolved. Every power ceiling has been reached and exceeded. The question the new show must answer, and has not yet answered publicly, is this: what is left to threaten an Earth that has already outlasted the ancients? There are 3 possible solutions. A new galaxy with a new threat architecture. A time-displaced continuation that resets the power balance. Or a story set in the political aftermath, where the threat is not external, but internal. Each solution carries its own structural risk. None of them are simple. And the production has made no public statement about how it intends to navigate this debt. That silence is significant. It is not necessarily alarming. But it is the second open question in this file. Nathan Crowley gave one public statement about the visual approach. He said, "You have to keep one foot in. But because we're now launching onto something new, we have to put the other foot out as far as we can. If you just copy what you think everyone loves, I think you're going to fall into a trap." This is a principled creative position. It is also a direct contradiction of what the Stargate fanbase has identified as its non-negotiable requirement. The single most common answer to the question, what would ruin the new show, is not poor production. It is not bad casting. It is the absence of humor. Stargate was never a dark franchise. It was a franchise that treated the fate of the galaxy seriously while allowing its characters to be human, to be funny, to argue, to be wrong in ways that were recognizably real. That tonal balance was not accidental. It was engineered by writers who understood that audiences sustain engagement with characters they like, not only characters they admire. Nathan Crowley is a production designer whose aesthetic language is defined by Nolan. Cold geometry, monolithic scale, the architecture of consequence. That language is extraordinary for visual drama. It is not inherently compatible with the warmth that made the original teams iconic. The production may resolve this tension through casting and writing. The designer's vision may serve the serious moments while the writers carry the human ones. But the tension is real. And it is the third open question in this file. No cast has been announced. As of this assessment, the audience does not know who these people are. It does not know their names, their roles, their histories. This is not unusual for a production still in pre-production. But it focuses attention on a structural reality. Jack O'Neill was built over 22 episodes in Season 1 alone. Samantha Carter's evolution from scientist to warrior took 3 seasons to complete. Daniel Jackson's arc from scholar to ascended being spanned 8 years. Teal'c's journey from First Prime to Free Jaffa was not resolved in a single run. These characters became iconic because the audience had time to know them. To watch them fail. To watch them choose wrong. To watch them recover. 10 episodes does not allow for that arc. It allows for an introduction and a resolution. The new team will be introduced. The new team will face a threat. The new team will resolve it. And then the season will end. Whether the audience will have been given enough time to care about that resolution is entirely dependent on casting and writing quality. That is a significant risk to carry into a franchise revival. It is the fourth open question in this file. The Stargate Atlantis film was never made. The 2 SG-1 direct-to-video films were planned as the first in a continuing series. They were the last. Stargate Universe was cancelled at the midpoint of a story arc. Eli Wallace was left alone on a ship, floating in FTL, surrounded by sleeping crew members, in a frozen stasis pod that would not seal. That image has been unresolved for 15 years. The Stargate fanbase is not a casual audience. It is an audience that has maintained emotional investment across a franchise that repeatedly failed to close its own loops. The new show does not exist in isolation. It exists in the shadow of those closures that never came. If the new production acknowledges what came before, even briefly, it signals that this is a continuation, not a reset. That the 15 years of abandoned story matter. That the audience's loyalty was not wasted. If it does not acknowledge those threads, if it arrives as a clean slate that treats 3 cancelled series as irrelevant history, it risks losing the core audience before the second episode. This is not a narrative requirement. It is a relationship requirement. The franchise has a debt. How the new show chooses to service it, or ignore it, will define the first 3 episodes more than any other creative decision. It is the 5th open question in this file. And it is the one with the least margin for error. 5 problems. None of them insurmountable. Brad Wright and Joe Malozzi are in the room. These are not executives who inherited a franchise. They are the men who built it. That knowledge does not guarantee the result. But it changes the probability of the outcome. Nathan Crowley will define how this universe looks. The writers will define how it feels. And Martin Gero will carry the weight of both. The production is early. The casting is unannounced. The timeline is intact. Every open question in this file remains open. But the file will be updated. This channel will be here when it is. Command Crew. If you are tracking this series, leave your assessment in the comments. What problem concerns you most?